Holy spring split! This is Flight Check, Season 5, Episode 10. We're back once again, talking all aspects of FlyQuest and the LTA. Split 2, Spring Split, however you want to call it, depending on what side of the equator you're on. Games are starting back up this weekend. FlyQuest has matches to play. The format has drastically shifted once again while we were away. And,
admittedly for the better.
Hopefully for the better.
Very much for the better.
And we've got a lot to talk about tonight, so we're going to get straight into it. My name, as always, is Sandy Toes. To my left and my extra left, Knoxwar and Curly Double Q. Fellas, I think it was last week, Mark Zimmerman, commissioner of the LTA, dropped the Split 1 in review and also previewed some upcoming changes to the format. Just right off the bat, Curly, gonna ask you first. Did you watch that video? What were your thoughts? Because he...
I did not.
Okay,
I have not watched
you
it.
watched this video, hopefully.
I got about 3/4 of the way through it before I got called back into work, so I saw most
That's
of it.
good. So you watched the part that I wanted you to have watched for this press move was, I mean, he made a lot of defensive arguments about the viewership numbers. How did you feel about those arguments? Were they valid? Did you agree with them? Are you still kind of in a wait and see? We're in a holding pattern for the LTA right now, or are you kind of like all hands on deck, the fire is spreading out of control?
The fire is spreading out of control, but the safety measures have been implemented, so I'm kind of in a wait and see mode. But I'm sweating because the heat in the room's like cranking up still, you know. Yeah, I think in general, Mark, I find typically does a good job of posting his analysis of how the split went in terms of viewership and the growth that was displayed in viewership numbers and actual revenue gain from the show and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it was bad, man. It was really, really bad, and it's not anything to do with Mark, right? Like I thought what Mark did this past summer was great for the LCS. And he got dealt a real tough hand with how Riot Global wanted to hand the circuit and the overall global esports sphere. And he's just doing his best to make it work. And so I think, honestly, he got bailed out a little bit with the whole Fearless having this massive surge in popularity around the world. Yeah. And it gave every region a great excuse to have best of threes. Granted, most regions already have best of threes in some way, shape, or form. But it gave every region to have a great excuse to have best of threes. And so,
for sure.
While I'm still not a fan of the fact that there are best of ones in this coming split, you know what? The fact that they're used for seeding makes it much more tolerable and like just digestible for me. I'm fine having best of ones for seeding. No one's eliminated off of it. You're not going into playoffs off of it. I am very happy to, like, I can work with best of ones for seeding purposes. That's more than okay for me. So I think in general, long story short on Mark is I think the analysis is good. I just don't think, I'm not confident on the solutions yet. There's a lot more that needs to be done.
Curly, how about you? Format changes primarily. Yeah, so now first 3 weeks, best of ones to determine seeding. And then we'll have this kind of group phase, weeks 4 through 6. Still single round robin, but it's best of threes within your group. And then week 7 is this weird seeding thing. Top 2 teams play each other, of each group play each other for seeding. Bottom 2 teams play elimination matches. So if you're top 2 in your group, you make playoffs. If you're bottom 2, you play an elimination best of 3 to get into lower bracket.
Well, it is overall definitely like an improvement, introducing just more matches, especially for like having that second phase. The drawback, as always, is why choose a normal path when you can make everyone get a PhD in esports to try and understand what the fuck you just put out there into the world. Because I'm going to be honest, you explained it. I'm reading it in front of me. I'm going to have to live through it before I can maybe understand what is happening.
I mean, this is reminiscent of like how bad the LPL and LCK formats have been. And it's not that they're bad. They're just so convoluted, right? It's just so messy to get us to this end state. And
it's a lot.
The point is, but like, this feels like the kind of thing that I would come up with as a kid when I was like doing, imaginary leagues and fantasy leagues and whatnot.
But you're sitting here like making your own brackets.
When I'm making my own brackets, and I'm like, and then 13 teams will qualify for playoffs. What seed plays which one? I don't know, but we'll get there when we figure it out.
What really trips me is this line of like teams will be split into 2 groups of 4 constructed in a snake system. What does that mean?
So it'll be like team 1 in group A, team 2 in group B, team 3 in group A, team 4 in group B. So like you'll have all the odd seed teams on one group and all the even seed teams on the other group. So you're not having like
okay.
My only
all
problem
right.
with that, like, I get it. I understand how it's supposed to work.
So what's it going to be like 1, 3, 5, 7 and
Yes.
2, 4, 6, 8?
Yes.
Correct.
But my question is, you only play 7 best of ones. You are undoubtedly going to have ties. What is the tiebreaker format here?
It'll be the head to head.
But then like you're probably going to have to do some best of 1 tiebreakers. Like
you shouldn't have to, because
in a single round robin, that's not going to be possible, right?
Unless you have like a 3-way tiebreaker, in which case you're still going to take the team that has the more wins over the other 2 teams in that tiebreaker, and then in which case I believe at that point it goes to game time.
Unless it becomes a rock paper scissors thing where it's each team, like TL beat FlyQuest, who beat 100 Thieves, who beat TL, right? And then I guess then it goes to game time.
It's either game time or you do a quick round robin best, or I guess I don't know.
Let's play more best of ones to figure out who.
Strength of schedule, maybe.
Well,
All
everyone
right,
plays.
You play everyone else, so it wouldn't.
I wish we had. I wish you could have.
Rulebook 2025.
Everyone at least.
Oh my god! All right.
I wish we had.
What I think
in LTA. All right, Curly,
I think we should table this. I think we should table this a little bit until week 3 when it actually matters.
It does.
So in 2 weeks we can revisit this if tiebreaker scenarios are even up there.
You are correct.
Because
it will not matter until week 3. Weeks 1 and 2, it's going to be 2 best of ones each week. And then I'm trying to quickly pull up the schedule for LCS.
LTA
North,
it's the LTA actually.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, first 2 weeks it's 2 best of ones each, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday in week 3 we will have Monday Night League. Who was around for Monday Night League back in the day? This was like COVID era.
Yes, sir.
Not me. That is for some.
They tried Friday Night League and that didn't work. So then they shifted it to Monday Night League and that didn't work. Although I was kind of jazzed for Monday Night League, and I'm actually excited for it to come back. The cool part,
I can't wait to be able to live react to what happens.
That's the thing, is that's Monday, April 21st. The games will end, and then we'll go live on air reacting to how things ended.
Okay, how much does anyone have the broadcast's Venmo, just so we could maybe get rated by the LTA? Would be very funny. That would be, Yeah,
we'd have to pull some major strings. All right, so that's the new format, new and improved. All told, so that we do get some form of Fearless draft starting in week 4, because now, and this is a global change, Fearless is for the rest of the year, every tournament, every game, Fearless is implemented. We have not had the chance to talk about this yet. Curly, I'm going to come back to you.
Yes, sir.
What's your take on Fearless being globally implemented across the board, every team, every tournament, every region, playing in Fearless?
Finally, a standard.
Yeah.
A standard that actually can measure something. I do think it's really, really good. Because by everything having to be fearless, it inherently makes best ofs become a more common thing. And one of the reasons that I prefer, like in T Sports, one of the reasons I don't like football is because it's a single round robin thing, whereas every other sport has these multiple bouts of competition. So the fact that we are now inherently doing that and everything, bam, instantly already way better. And then the other thing about it is I think for some people, I think it'll be awkward at first. I personally love that it's going to really just show that you know the game holistically. I think that's what it'll bring to. It's like, all right, I can run through 20 champions being off the table as a coach and still come up with something that my team can perform well with. And honestly, the fact that at the start of this year, when we were first kind of introducing Fearless around everything, I think some people were afraid because of what we had seen in the NACL last year, that some of those late stretched games might kind of be difficult. I don't think we've been able to fully litmus test that because I don't think we've had a full best of 5 yet. I could be wrong. I just don't. I really don't remember. Did that happen at first stand?
Well, there've been some, not necessarily for LTA, obviously, but
Yeah.
LPL and LCK had full best of 5s with Fearless.
So I'll have to look into what those look like over there. But we personally
They got
haven't had to
wacky.
scrape the bottom of the barrel.
They got wacky.
But overall, I think it still is a good reflection of, okay, I know I have a good understanding of the game as a whole.
Yeah.
And then reflecting on the players, it's like I feel bad for saying this because it does neglect a type of player base, but it's like, all right, we don't have OTPs just climbing. Granted, we don't really have one trickers in the primary leagues.
Well, one
But-
point that I was catching up on some older hotline leagues from a few weeks ago, and one point that I think Cubby or Raz made a couple weeks ago after TL beat 100 Thieves, 3-0 in the LTA North final, in the LTA finals, was you had Sniper playing Ornn, at one point in that series, like last year. That's not happening. That guy's, he's never gonna he's
Cassante.
Really, yeah, it's
Cassante.
It's gonna be Aatrox.
Cassante. Yeah, Aatrox.
Jax,
Cassante.
maybe. Like he's not playing Ornn, but the new format, I think, does a couple really doing Fearless all year does a couple really interesting things. One, I think it actually allows teams to really start to establish their own identity. This is how it's been for 14 years. There is a particular meta set of champions, and every year the MSI winner, the split winner, and the world's winner is determined by who can play these meta 20 champions the best. Now you have to be able to play 10 champions in your role, right, alone. So you're looking at across the team, you're probably going to have a pool of 70 to 80 champions across your entire team. And that allows you to start doing things like, hey, our players are really good at hyperscaling carries. We're really good at hyperscaling comps. Or another team says, hey, we're really good at early skirmish. We're really good at, winning early and playing champs that win early and take over the game, and we win it that way. And so you start to see, okay, yeah, maybe games 1 and 2 in a series do tend to kind of look the same globally, but then you get past that first barrier of these are the S tier champions, and then teams start to say well, we're only really good at these remaining 20 guys, and the other team says, well, we're only good at these 20 guys, and that's just what they play. And then you get to see these different mentalities clash. Okay, is late game hyperscaling gonna win over the early game focused skirmishing champs? Who knows? Let's find out. And I think that's so much more interesting to me, because then you get to get into something that you do see in traditional sports, which is different teams have different game plans. In the NBA, you have the Lakers. They now have this crazy team where they've got Luka Doncic. Sorry, Knox. And
You just had to bring it up.
yeah, well, look, it was the convenient point. They've got Luka and LeBron on the same team. So what's their game plan? They give the ball to Luka and LeBron, and then those guys just go to work, right? Other teams, maybe they don't have that kind of talent, and they have to spread the ball around more. So everyone's taking shots, right? Or, you look at, like, the Denver Nuggets. Without Jokic on the court, that team's not that good. When Jokic is on the court, he dominates, they feed him the ball, and he carries them to victory. You could see similar things, and the NFL does this too, where you have teams that, like, all they do is, they run the ball 75% of the time. Look at the Tennessee Titans with Derrick Henry for the last, 8 years until he went to Baltimore. Or, then you have, teams that just kind of do an air raid offense. Look at how, Patrick Mahomes was playing, for the last, 5 years until he started falling off a cliff. Where, teams would just, pass the ball all day long. You get to develop your own identity and build out from there. And I think
I think I just heard Travis Gafford moan terribly at all the traditional sports analogies that you just made.
Well, it's true.
Honestly, I loved it though. I thought every single one was spot on.
It's fun to marry your interests. It really is. Knox, how about you? What's your takes on Global Fearless for the rest of the year, and presumably for the rest of League of Legends esports?
I mean, you two both already know my thoughts. I think anyone who watches our show knows my thoughts on this, right? There's part of me who is a bit sentimental over how the old drafting system worked, because I loved watching coaches specifically try and wiggle their way around their other teams' comfort picks and hey, here's how this draft works because this is what we specifically planned for, and then here's the game plan that we drafted for it. Right now, in most of these games, you can kind of tell a lot of teams are having to come up with strategies on the fly because you just don't know how draft's going to turn out, because the draft is ever evolving as the series continues onwards, right?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times you'll see the in-game strategies are not as sound and they're not as cohesive because the teams just don't know how to make their comps work because they're not exactly practiced on them, because you can't really always practice in these exact scenarios. Whereas the other drafting system, you got to see a lot of interesting decisions on Rift because they practiced that particular comp. They know the comp they're probably playing against because that's exactly what the other teams wanted to draft into their comp, so on and so forth. And it's just these tiny little niche nitpicks and changes. And it's there's always something that kind of tickles my brain in that sense, right? However, just because it tickles my brain does not mean it tickles everyone else's brain around the world. And it is very clearly obvious that the rest of the world absolutely prefers Fearless, and it is better for the League ecosystem. And in general, I think it's just a plus. So while part of me will always miss what the old drafting system was, because that's kind of how I love to think about it. This is still fun for me to watch. I still love seeing all the new champions. I still love thinking about all the different drafts that you can kind of perform on. And who knows, maybe over time as teams get more and more used to what Fearless is and the ability to produce all these champions on the Rift in these comps versus each other in ways and formulations that you've never seen, maybe they get better at it. Maybe they understand how to actually just do it on the fly. And it's hey, this is what our comp actually is. Here's how we should play it. So on and so forth. This is what their comp is. Here's how we play into it. Things like that. I just don't think we're there yet, right? Because we're only one split in, outside of maybe some the tier 2 squads, the rookies that came up this past year. Maybe they're a little bit more used to it because all the tier 2 teams from all across the world were used to it already.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the end of the day, it's just a good thing. I will just be a little bit nostalgic on how things used to be in some way, but this is in generally a good improvement and is probably where the scene needs to go.
No,
another thing too.
That's a good point.
Is minimum 15 champs open at the end of Worlds for World skins. Everyone's going to get at least 3 options.
That's actually, you know what? I've never thought about this, Curly. You raise a very good point. The options available now are going to be absolutely insane for players.
Yeah.
Whoever wins it, there's going to be a lot of. We may get some very unique world skins this year. Actually, yeah, that's a very good point, Curly. You got me a little bit more excited.
Exactly.
Knox has been converted now. It's all over. He's completely in.
Catch that FlyQuest Lulu coming up.
Yes, sir. I will first in line.
It's happening. All right. Well, let's move forward. Split 2, spring split, whatever you want to call it.
Lunch split.
Sprite.
Did you call it lunch split?
Sprite.
I've not
Lunch
heard
split.
that one. That's pretty good. So we just had the breakfast split, and now we're having the lunch split.
Yeah, we ate a light breakfast.
Yeah.
And we're feeling adventurous for lunch.
I'll tell you what. It was certainly a light breakfast. You know, these brothers had us out
We
here.
had a granola bar.
Some toast with butter on it, you know, and calling it a meal.
No, you had a Nature Valley.
Yeah.
That's what.
And half of it crumbled away before, you know.
As you took a bite. you know?
Right at the very end, you didn't get the full.
Yeah, you didn't get the full bite. No, that's for sure. All right. Well, let's talk about Split 2. It's going to be interesting, but I think what we want to do is do a little bit of an informal power rankings, and we can talk about it. Let's start with who we all kind of are feeling at the bottom. Like, let's name. Could you two name for me the two teams that come to you when you think of 7th and 8th place in LTA
No.
Split 2?
Okay.
I don't know.
This got harder, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to really think about it. You have Lyon and Disguised, who were like the two bottom teams, right? In which case, Lyon was very clearly like still working on their synergy and so on and so forth. But you could actively see in that second series they were improving and they were getting there, but they just weren't able to quite pull it off.
Yeah.
Now they had all this time to synergize. I know a bunch of the players went to Korea to boot camp. I know they've been scrimming this whole week, and then I've heard that they're doing okay. Not amazing, but I've heard they're doing okay. So it's hard to say, right? And then you have Disguise, which I know a lot of their players were also in Korea. They were at the Gen.G facility, so Gen.G was helping them out, scrimming with them and boot camping with them. So you know those guys got a lot of practice. So it's like immediately, okay, well, the bottom two teams from last split are clearly like they got some practice in, right? But then you have to look at Shopify Rebellion, who, I mean, they took our boy. They took Tanner time. Like,
They did.
And just as a reminder for everyone, the last time that DeMonte and Palafox were paired together in a coach-player setting, NRG with Palafox made it to the quarterfinals of Worlds. So that's a little scary. Then on top of that, you have Dignitas, who, I'll be honest, has been very quiet throughout the split. But at the same time, I find it hard to find a team that has Rigby as their coach not to be cooking up drafts, not to be like doing some massive coaching and experimentation and like really trying to develop the squad. That was always a team that I had as like a possible middle of the pack, like squeeze up in the top 4 if something went horribly wrong with any of the other top 4 teams. So the fact that they've had time to develop, it's still like kind of right. And then you still have the rest of the top 4 teams that you have to talk about at that point. So it's very hard to narrow it down to what these two bottom teams should be.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And I even recall at the end of last split saying, like, man, like, Lyon, if they had had more time to gel together,
I think they're going to be scary.
I think
really
they
think they're going to be
actually
scary.
could be kind of good. And so,
I could see it.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a team that I feel like could fight for that. But for me, Lyon is absolutely a team that could be like that 5-6, you know,
Yeah.
But the problem is I'm just like, I don't know who takes their spot. I feel like I still would say Disguised is in that bottom 2 for me,
All right.
but in like a scrappy kind of way, in like an exciting kind of way. Shopify was just so disappointing for me. And I almost wonder if they're going to, even with DeMonte coming in, I almost wonder if they're going to continue to be disappointing. So I think right now, this might be shocking. I think I would say Shopify and Disguised are my bottom 2.
You know, that's pretty fair. I have one letter of the alphabet that can define my bottom 2. And I'll give you 2 guesses as to which letter that is. Shouldn't be hard if you look at the rosters, or I mean the team names.
a letter.
Single letter.
So I'm gonna go D.
Dignitas.
Yes, sir.
Disguised.
D for Dignitas in disguise. They're
Oh,
going right at the
okay.
bottom, you know? I'm sure they probably did a lot of work out there. I'm just not sure it's enough. Especially because I just my fly bias tells me obviously that we worked really hard in our time off, and I really do actually think that Demonte is going to be able to put this team in Shopify in a better direction than they had. I feel like he's kind of a personality that is there for culture and direction, which is a crucial part of any team, no matter how like the skill level or the strategy of a coach. If you don't have a decent culture to underlie that, you're going to struggle to perform. And so I think he's going to be able to bring that together and remind Palafox and Contracts that, hey, you guys did in fact win LCS when it was a thing. You could do it again.
Now you could win. There's a new tournament in town. You could
There's
win that
a
one.
new thing you could win. But I think he's going to be able to put them in a better direction. It may not hit at the start, like this this was platform stage. No, what do they call this
I
thing?
don't even know if there's a name. It's
No, there is a name.
positioning.
It's the positioning,
phase.
the positioning phase. You know, I'm thinking they're going to be probably a bit slow to start on that one. Week 1 might be an L for them. Week 2 might be 50-50, and week 3 is where I think they'd really start to show up. So that's why I'm definitely not putting them in a bottom 2. I could easily see them in like that 4th through 6th range, not just 5th, 6th. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think these are all fair
Yeah.
arguments. I think bottom 4 is so interesting to me, and that's kind of like the fun for me in LTA is less about like who makes top 4, because I feel like I know, or it's like Cloud9, TL, us, 100 Thieves, and then like bottom 4. How's that gonna shake out? That's what I want to know.
So here's a better question then: is do you think any of your current bot 4 teams can break into the top 4?
No.
No, not at all. Like not even a chance of it happening.
No, they the whatever teams make the playoffs out of the bottom 4, they go to the lower bracket, and then they get beat by the team that drops from upper bracket.
Okay, just nice and sound. There's no wiggle room on that.
No.
There is still a split. You know.
Yeah, no, I think there's absolutely still a gap between the top 4 and the bottom 4. It's unfortunate, but I think that's just how it is.
I'm hesitant
if
to
you
make a
want-
call on that before we see a week of gameplay, personally.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean,
put out a team that I'm like, okay, they could make some noise. You know, I'll say it. Lion could make some noise.
they could. I mean, you're not wrong.
I trust
yeah.
Lion to make noise more than I do Dignitas. How about that?
That's real.
Just like
Valid.
But that's because I have historical beef with Dignitas because they've just been like
That's real.
historically bad.
Who does not?
Like this org has been around for as almost as long as LCS LTA has. Still, like, hasn't made a finals in pretty much a decade. Right?
Season 2, literally
Yeah.
season 2.
So
Wow.
Truly, garbage can org for sure. Just put the fries in the bag, Dignitas. Truly.
I guess to put my money where my mouth is, just so that way I can say my bottom 2 that you said earlier.
Yeah.
I'm going to put Disguised in 8th. I'm sorry. Like
Hate to say it.
I want to give them hope. I really want to, and I
want them
am going to
do
cheer for
so
them too.
bad.
But I don't think it's there. So I'm going Disguised in 8th, and then I'm going I feel bad because I feel like Demonte is going to actually improve this team, but I just don't think it's going to do anything. But I'm going to go Shopify 7th. I'm going to go Lion 6th, and I'm going to go Dignitas 5th.
Dang.
Nox, this is apropos of, well, not apropos of nothing because it kind of relates. Just like like Disguised has to defend their spot at the end of the year, right? Like, just based off of week 1 of NACL, do you see them sticking around for next year?
I'm going to.
Like, I know this is so early. I know this is so early to say. But, like, Conviction looked good.
Conviction did look good. I don't think they're going to continue to hold that level of play. Conviction also only played Apex and Mission Impossible, which was the other OQ team that qualified.
That's fair.
And Supernova, who is 0-2. Like, they had some pretty easy-ish. Not to say they didn't look good. They did look good, but they had some easy competition.
Supernova being 0-2 is a bit of a surprise, though, because because they've got Rhino, Shogo, and Keel on their team. I thought they were going to be better, but it's just me.
I mean, I think they need to warm up a little bit. I think they can get there, but yeah, I don't know. If anything, I'm kind of just eyeballing Luminosity. I think that's the team that's going to be the team that's going to be playing Disguised.
Okay.
And I have a hard time imagining that Castle loses to Fate God. I think XU and Tomio are pretty equal. I think Insanity can beat Abadage, and Abadage can. I think that one's kind of a coin flip, to be honest. Unfortunately, I do think Tactical is a far better AD carry than Scary Jerry is.
I think the Tactical Zazel bot lane just outclasses Disguise's bot lane all day long. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's close. I really think it kind of comes down to like Castle and Mike, because I remember I was preaching this man. I was like, he deserves all pro. I thought he looked great in the first like couple matches in split 1. I think it comes down to how badly can Castle gap Fate God. If Castle can absolutely just diff Fate God, DSG have got their spot retained, no problem. That's my prediction.
All right,
very early prediction.
Yeah, we'll put a pause on that because we're still completely presuming that Luminosity is the team that tries to qualify for next year. All right, so let's move back to what we were talking about. So right now we're all kind of still agreed in some combination, in some way.
Shopify, Lion,
Shopify,
Disguise, and they are all bot for.
I didn't write any of this down, so I'm going to ask you guys to give me your 5 through 8 really quickly so that I can write it down.
Oh,
so my 8 is Disguise, my 7 is Shopify, my 6 is Lion, and my 5 is Dignitas.
5 is Dignitas. What was your 6? Shopify?
No, my 6 is Lion.
Lion, sorry.
And then 7 is Shopify, 8 is Disguised.
Curly.
I'm gonna regret that. I already know I'm gonna regret that, but that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling.
Unironically,
I'm gonna go.
I think I'm pretty close to you, but yeah.
I'm gonna be crazy with it. I'm gonna put Shopify 5, Lion 6, Dignitas 7th, and Disguise 8th.
All right.
Curly's got that DeMonte faith, baby. It's Tanner time.
It's always Tanner time.
So yeah, I mean, just in general, we're all agreed that we're all predicting Lion making it to playoffs, just through the lower bracket. And we're all agreed that Disguised is probably taking a fat 8th. Or I guess a tied for 7th, if you will.
Yeah.
At the end of the split. All right, let's turn our attention to the top half, because I think this is an equally interesting conversation.
Especially because of a certain interview that Whippo had earlier this week with LCS Profiles.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to recap what he said in that interview, Knox?
So the very, very quick gist of it is he believes that FlyQuest is currently below the other top 3 teams, that being 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, and Cloud9. He believes that FlyQuest is a 4th place team currently, which is kind of mind-blowing to me, considering they were over in Korea boot camping.
Yeah.
So,
Curly, do you think Whippo is just kind of psychologically, downplaying?
I think he's being a bit humble. I think he's being a bit humble. Yeah.
I mean, man, it's tough because I don't know. It feels like it's a bit of a rock, paper, scissors right now, where all 4 teams could beat each other on the day. And the thing was, I'm just gonna put this out there. Liquid, unironically, I don't want to say it was Spawn, presence diff, but it kind of was. Like, they only started looking good again when he showed up, both at LTA finals and at First Stand. And when he left First Stand, they stopped looking good.
He continues to cement he's my GOAT coach of all time argument.
Yeah,
I know
think,
he's only been around for a short period of time, but I've been watching this man since he was in NACL doing Team Liquid Challengers. Hell, I was watching him on the OPL broadcast back in 2015. This man is freaking smart. Yeah. He's very good at what he does. He creates an atmosphere, team atmosphere that absolutely just works. Like Reaper had it for a little bit, but I have got to give it to Spawn. And like this past tournament, this international has just continued to solidify it for me.
Yeah.
No, this was also an argument that was being had on Hotline League a few weeks ago. So yeah, I think you're right on the money there, Knox. Oh man, yeah. Let's get into it. Like, let's just talk about FlyQuest, which is what we're supposed to do on the show primarily, right? Like,
yeah.
Are we?
We just take time to set up the context in which FlyQuest is involved. Now everyone has their understanding of where we're at. Now we can get started.
Of everything that we are and all those.
It just takes us 45 minutes to get started on FlyQuest. It's fine. We got there. Now you know.
Well, they didn't have any games this weekend, so we didn't have anything to talk about in that way. I don't know. Knox, are you in agreement with Bwipo? Do you think they're number 4, or do you have them a little higher?
I think what's going to end up happening is 100 Thieves. So let me. I'm going to talk about other teams for a second. No more FlyQuest. but to set the context, and I'm going to point to 100 Thieves first because I think they're the most glaring example of this. Is that they were a team that did not rely upon lane swaps, because let's be honest, we have to address what happened is that Riot completely changed how the game is played.
Yep.
And the two leading teams and how that playstyle was done was Team Liquid and FlyQuest. And so, yeah, I think these two teams are going to struggle a little bit because they were the ones that were kind of pioneering on how lane swaps should work, when teams should move, when should you move your bot lane to Herald versus when should you keep it in the mid lane versus in the bot lane so you can have priority in Drake, so on and so forth, all the timings that are associated with it. These two teams, not even just domestically, but there were teams in China and Korea who said they unironically looked at scrims or gameplay of FlyQuest and TL because they were some of the people that were fundamentally pushing forward how lane swaps worked. And so now that Riot has completely killed that, it is a completely different gameplay style that these two teams need to adapt. So this brings me to 100 Thieves, who, in my opinion, were never that great at lane swaps in the first place. They got to a level that was acceptable for the LTA, but they were never that great at it. Now we're going to a style of gameplay where it's just laning, in which case, I mean, let's be honest, Sniper had some of the highest solo kills out of anyone last year. Quid, in my opinion, was looking like an MVP candidate in terms of solo mid lane play. River continues to be a great jungler for both the solo laners. And then you had a FBI who I think honestly stepped up massively over the course of the LTA playoffs, even though he kind of fumbled a little bit in the finals versus Team Liquid, right? So that team's going to be very, very strong. They're very already set up to be able to succeed in this current gameplay environment. Then you have Cloud9, who's a brand new team, didn't have a lot of ability and time to actually be able to practice these lane swaps. Got to, again, a kind of acceptable level in the LTA, but really didn't quite get very, very good at it. So I think with Thanatos, he's very good laner, knows what he's doing. Loki's still a bit of a weak spot in my opinion. And then Zven also, I think, kind of is just what I considered an FBI back in the day where he was just stable. I don't think Zven's very flashy anymore. He's not doing a lot to push the game forward anymore, but he's still solid, right?
Yeah.
But he's not getting but you have to keep in mind, I think he's someone who's, because he's solid, he's not going to lose. And in a lot of lane swap situations, you did it to get your bot lane ahead, and he was never the one that was able to actually punish the other team with that, right? So in a sense, because he's losing power, quote unquote, it's actually helping the team. I know that's a weird argument, but I think it's actually beneficial for Cloud9 in the long run, because it allows Thanatos to have more power, who's a better player than Zven, in my opinion, who can actually have the agency to push the game forward for Cloud9. So with that said, you had two teams I think actually benefited from the loss of lane swaps. And then you have Team Liquid and FlyQuest who are now going to have to rebuild their strategies and their gameplay knowledge and able to actually participate on the map in a sense that can actually play the game that is just meant for laning. So how do I think FlyQuest is actually going to do? I actually kind of agree with Bwipo. I do think they're actually kind of sitting in fourth place right now. I completely understand their struggles of having to figure out, hey, here's how you just straight up lane. There's no more timing swaps, which was like what Inspired was an absolute goat at. I think Inspired is really going to have to figure out how to do more traditional ganking. Not that he was bad at it, but it wasn't his strength, right? So he's going to have to really emphasize like, hey, I need to gank here, or like, hey, I need to push this guy out of lane so I can pull my own top laner down to do grubs with me or herald with me, like kind of old traditional solo queue styles of gameplay that are now in the competitive sense. So yeah, FlyQuest at fourth I think is a very accurate description by Bwipo, but at the same time I think the margins of difference are incredibly tiny.
All right. So Nox is.
Sorry, I blabbed a lot. I haven't talked in a while. I had to get it out.
You're good.
Nox is putting them at fourth. Curly, how about you? Where are you ranking FlyQuest coming into Split 2?
It's hard because if I don't instinctually put them at number one, I'm gonna have to think about who I actually think is number one, and I don't want to say any other team up there. So I'll have to humble myself there. I mean, honestly, if I think realistically, I'm probably gonna have to put FlyQuest peaking at second. I think I would put them confidently at second because I don't think the killing of lane swaps is actually gonna hurt us that much. Because yes, we spent a lot of time getting better at them after we really flopped last year at MSI. But I think the fundamentals of this team are actually going to be expressed a lot better now that we don't have to worry about that funkiness, especially when it comes to bot lane. Is I think our bot lane, when they're able to just perform on their own, is very confident and very talented and can easily outshine the rest of the league. So if we play into that strength really well, which we all obviously were under lane swaps, but you can still do that without lane swaps. It's what we did before. I think we'll still be fine. The only concern there is admittedly Bwipo's solo laning habits. We're going to have to keep them a little bit in check sometimes. But I don't think that getting rid of lane swaps actually hurts us that much. I think he's being very humble and very hard on himself for the fact that we did completely underperform in Spring Split from what we should have done. Or Split 1 from what we should have done. And so I think he's trying to set that expectation, matching that in hopes of exceeding it.
So you think he's kind of not setting the team up to fail, but kind of setting lower expectations on purpose?
Yes, in a sense. Like, it's like in his eyes, he probably does. I think he views things very critically. And so taking into consideration just how everything went with Spring Split, I don't know what information he might have that we, the public, wouldn't know about other people's scrims and all that stuff, or teams that they were scrimming against in Korea. But I think given that, it's just like he's trying to be very just like, okay, this is where I view myself right now. It's kind of sometimes ultimately what you need to do in competition is view yourself as the best because you will be motivated to uphold that. But there are some times where you exceed that confidence and you need to be realistic about where you are so you can build off of it. I think that's what he's trying to do right now. I think he's being so realistic and critical of himself that that's where he thinks he is, that then he will be motivated to be wrong.
Okay.
You know? Because if you prove yourself wrong in that scenario, number one, every win is going to be super satisfying.
Yeah.
But number two, it just shows like kind of the value of that humility.
No, and I think there is some value to the team approaching this split more humbly, especially after getting beat by Cloud9 and then beaten by 100 Thieves. And the way Team Liquid was playing that final weekend, I don't know if we would have beaten them in the finals, even if we had beaten 100 Thieves. Even though that was a series that we should have won, we should have been in finals. But I don't know if anyone was beating Team Liquid that weekend. They were on some other stuff. So yeah, I think I am also. Well, hang on. So did you have them at fourth, Curly, or did you have them at second?
No, I put them up at second.
Okay, second. All right.
So but where do you have them at, Sandy?
Yeah, so I've been debating this for the last 3 weeks, literally since Split 1 ended. I've been arguing this with myself because I know that we are better than fourth place in this league. We are better than just being the fourth place team, because that to me is all right, you're just above average. I think, but then I also have to look at performance, right? And it's hard because it's if I'm well, I think we're better than Cloud9. Okay, well, Cloud9 beat us. Or, okay, I think we're better than 100 Thieves. Well, 100 Thieves beat you. The only team that I can say that we beat is Team Liquid, and that was in a best of one for seeding. Who, by the way, then went on to win the whole tournament. So it's hard for me to look at the results and say, yeah, we're better than any of these teams. However, I'm going to go third.
Nice. So everything but first. Good job, guys. We got the spread covered.
Yeah, we got the spread covered. And so now I'm going to start kind of filling out the rest of it. I am going to put Team Liquid up top. I think that is...
You're going number one with them?
I am going number one with them. I think, you win. You deserve to be number one in the power rankings entering into the next split. Especially, there's been no roster change. Everything's the same. They've had, more time together to work on stuff and whatnot. However, I'm gonna throw a little controversy in here. I'm putting 100 Thieves at second.
Ooh.
I am putting 100 Thieves at number 2. I am giving them the respect. I think I've disrespected them for too long. I think this is a legitimate team, a legitimate contender, and the interesting thing about them, I think their floor is below FlyQuest, but I think their ceiling is above FlyQuest right now. And that's why I don't have FlyQuest at 2. If I thought that we had similar ceilings, then I would drop 100 Thieves to 3. But I think 100 Thieves' ceiling is just a little higher right now. They're just a little more exciting for me. And of course that means I have Cloud9 in 4th. I don't know. I just I haven't been particularly inspired by watching them. I don't know what it is. I'm not really in love with this team yet in terms of they're just not doing it for me. So that's how it rounds out for me. TL, 100 Thieves, FlyQuest, Cloud9. We'll go Curly.
Yeah. I'm also going to put Cloud9. I'm going to put Cloud9 4th, honestly. Okay. They've had some really good moments, but it's still overall not impressing me. I'm putting 100 Thieves in 3rd because I am very, very impressed with them. Honestly, I respect you putting them in 2nd place. I think it's pretty practical. We definitely lost to them very, very well. And much as I hate doing it, I am also going to have to put Team Liquid in 1st. They did have a bit of a rough showing at first stand. But I mean, if I'm going to follow the words that I preach, is I don't want to overreact from something that happened after only a month of a brand new, completely different game, in a new tournament format. It's like, things just kind of went rough there. And it is what it is. I still think they are a very solid team. I think Spawn is able to work really well to bring the best out of them. And I think that like a setback like an international tournament isn't going to prevent them, because like hell, they even had kind of an unfortunate Worlds experience and they came to Split 1 and won the whole thing. So
Yeah.
judging them off their international performances, oddly enough, doesn't translate to their domestic performances.
All right. No, I think that's fair.
So, for clarification, are y'all doing power rankings going into the split, or where you think they will end?
I like how you're just casually holding the mic.
This is a David
No,
Shynock moment if I've ever seen one. My God.
This is me.
My bad. Okay, well now I'll put it down. I can't be imitating.
Yeah.
I will say, this is me going into the split, and that because that holds true for my bottom half predictions as well. Are you doing end of split power rankings?
Well, no, I as I was sitting here and y'all were doing your explanations, I was pondering mine, and I came to the realization I have different standings depending on whether it's going into the split or where I think they will end. In which case, my 4th place FlyQuest prediction is where they are going into the split.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
think that's kind of what I'm feeling.
That's where I'm at. I don't think they will end there. I think they will do better than that. Or I think they will do better than 3rd. But right now I'm just going off of what I've been able to see. Curly, can you give me your 1 and 3 again? Sorry.
Team Liquid, 100 Thieves.
Thank you. Okay,
All
so
right.
Nox, now it's your time to shine.
So going into the split, I got FlyQuest at 4th. Number 3, I'm going to go Cloud9. I think they probably leveled up a little bit, but I don't think they really have the firepower with Loki and Sven to actually punch higher than that. Number 2, man, I really toyed with the idea of putting TL here, but I don't think I can do it. So I'm gonna go number 2 at 100 Thieves.
All right.
I'm honest to God, I toyed with the idea of putting 100 Thieves number 1. It was close,
Yeah.
but
I mean, what would push you to put them number 1?
I think,
like, what do you wish you had seen from them that would have put them number 1 for you?
I wish I had seen Sniper not completely shit the bed versus Team Liquid. Like if it had been if it had been a close series in the grand finals,
fair.
I probably would have been, because here's the thing. I'm knocking down Team Liquid a peg because the style of gameplay that they used to play and what they were good at got switched. It's the same issue that FlyQuest has, right?
Yeah.
The plus side for them, though, is they got international experience on stage in this new style of gameplay, which is why I'm not docking them nearly as many points as I'm docking for FlyQuest. So with that said, because of the experience that they held, despite the change of gameplay that's being forced upon everyone, I'm still going to give it to Team Liquid. 100 Thieves just doesn't quite have the consistency to go for a first place finish. And I really, especially because this new game setup, or this new style of gameplay, it should be exactly what Sniper needs, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really expecting him to step up and show what he was showing last year. And in the one freaking series he played against us, man, he became an absolute god versus us, and then he completely disappeared versus Team Liquid. So, yeah, 100 Thieves number 2, Team Liquid number 1.
All right, and Cloud9 3. So there you have it, and I'll post these on Twitter post show in all of its Google Sheets glory. All right, so that's power rankings. We've all got TL number 1. 100 Thieves is either 2 or 3 for all of us. A couple of us had Cloud9 at 4. FlyQuest has the most variance among, we've got 2, 3, and 4, depending on who you're listening Everyone thinks Lions gonna make playoffs into the lower bracket. Some debate between Shopify and Dignitas for that other spot, but everyone seems aligned that Disguised not making it in, unfortunately. Big rip. All right, let's close out the show with the LTA Split 2 Week 1 preview. It's finally time to do some previews. Best of ones. Oh, you gotta love them. You gotta love those best of ones.
Oh yeah.
At least it's just for seeding now. I can take it for seeding.
I can take it for seeding.
Yeah.
All right, so Saturday, first match of the weekend. Oh, they know how to schedule these, don't they? Team Liquid versus FlyQuest. FlyQuest, I think, will be red side, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yes.
And then Sunday, it'll be FlyQuest versus Disguised. Let's get the easy one out of the way. So let's talk about TL.
Yeah, of course. That's what I was thinking.
Let's talk about the easy one. Team Liquid. You know what? I'm feeling spicy. I'm calling FlyQuest is going to come back and put the league on notice. Game 1 smash of TL. FlyQuest takes it. Put the
I'm
league
right behind
on
you.
notice. Remind them who we are and what they forgot about. Fly win Saturday. And then obviously a fly win Sunday. You lose to Disguised, it might be over. Curly, how about you?
All right.
Saturday and then Sunday in that order. Por favor.
Yeah, no, I'm also predicting a 2-0 this week, and I think we're gonna just show up. I think we're gonna beat TL, because we're just better than them. I don't care what the power rankings say. Whoever put those together is wrong. We're gonna just be better than them.
Even myself.
The
And
enemy
then
of myself
this,
is myself.
and then of course, when you look at the power rankings, it's very clear that FlyQuest is leagues above Disguise. You got to trust the people that do these power rankings. They talk about them for a reason, and so FlyQuest is going to win that one as well.
Hang on. So on one hand, you're shitting on the people who make power rankings, and on the other hand, you're glazing the people who are doing power
Exactly,
rankings.
exactly. Never let them know your first move
Never let them
because
know
you
your
don't
next
know it
move.
either.
Yeah, it's true.
Never let them know any of your moves.
It's true.
Because you're gonna figure them out as you go to.
Exactly. Okay, Knox, Curly, and I are going with the optimistic 2 O's to start off Split 2. Where are you landing, brother?
So I have one very important question before I make my prediction.
Oh,
Yes.
fire away.
Is Spawn in LA? Yes or no?
Is this like you know the answer and we're
Someone
supposed
get
to
the
find out?
Spawn
No,
tracker.
I have no clue. I genuinely have no clue.
Hang on.
Is
We can
Spawn
do-
in LA
We
this
can
coming
do
weekend?
a little detective work right now. We can do a little.
right.
Because
detective-
I'm
Spawn-
gonna make this real simple. If he's here in LA, it's a TL win. If he's not here, he's still in Australia. The FlyQuest win. Calling it
Hang
now.
on.
That's how it is.
Hang on. Is he even on
I don't even know what his Twitter is.
Twitter?
Spawn lol. I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
Spawn
Yeah.
lol.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That is, you nailed it.
Let's see. We have okay.
Oh man.
Damn. This is oh wait, no. Of course, he is in LA, and you know how I know? It's
Well,
because of
he's
that content that Team Liquid released.
Yeah, but he could have
week
made
back
that
with-
some other time. So March 13th.
Oh, the arguing with Redditors?
Yeah.
That was filmed in January.
No, seriously, never mind then. I don't
All right.
freaking know. Also,
So March 13th, he tweets about how he went back. He also talks about, I was honest and told them I couldn't coach from NA full time. He said he'll do it remotely. And then he said till next time. That was March 14th. Nothing happens. March 21st, heartbreaking to watch it back. This was a really fun piece. Hopefully, I mean, no.
I'm gonna guess he's back in LA. That's what I'm thinking.
So. I don't think so. I think he's still in Australia.
But will he be back by this weekend?
Okay, well, hang on. He just said we have night blocked every single day this week. This is 21 hours ago. We have night blocked every single day this week. In the office at about 9:50, still scrimming at 8:42.
All right, I'm thinking he's here.
And when he says still scrimming at 8:42, he means 8:42 Pacific time, because you know when this tweet was made? 11:42 p.m. Eastern time. So 3 hours back is 8:42. He's on the West Coast. He's in LA.
Yeah. Sorry, gentlemen.
We're losing.
I think our detective work has shown that Spawn is in LA and he's present. I'm going to follow my power rankings for the beginning of the split, and I'm going to give this one to TL. The good news is, however, I'm not predicting us to go 0-2 because that would be silly and dumb, and we are better than that. So therefore, it will be a nice, easy win versus Disguised on Sunday.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I mean, it is what it is. Never say
It's
I'm not
all right.
realistic. I'm always trying to be
No.
realistic.
It's okay.
All right. Well, we're saying a varied mix of things going into week 1, but rest assured, it will be an exciting week. And I believe that's everything that we've got for the show tonight. Unless you guys have any final closing thoughts, we will wrap things up.
Nothing for. I'm just happy to have League of Legends back, bro.
I'm excited. It's going to be a great split. I can guarantee you.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And you know what I'm looking forward to? When I get that notification in just a few minutes that you, yes you, loyal viewer, have followed us on Twitter for all of our reactions and thoughts to LTA this coming weekend. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at Santos DB, Knox at Knox War with 2 R's. Don't miss the second R. And Curly at Curly _QQ_. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. All kinds of esports discussion and background behind the scenes photos taking place in there. If you missed any part of the episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that by any chance and want to catch the show live, we do broadcast the episode every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Knox, any shout-outs before we wrap up the night?
Formula 1 is back,
Ooh, yes,
and
it is indeed.
but the kickoff Australia race was an absolute wild one because it was a rain race and everyone was just spinning all over the track. China was also pretty fun. Got a sprint race in. Lewis Hamilton got his first win in Ferrari with it, and then proceeded to get DNF'd or DQ'd on the actual race. So that was kind of interesting and fun. Oscar Piastri has been awesome to watch, and Lando, because I'm a big McLaren fan, so it's been it's fun start so far. Fun start to the season of F1.
Nice. Curly, how about you? Shout outs. What's going on?
I'm gonna shout out my collegiate esports team. The Overwatch team that I coach went 2-1 on a triple header that they had on Saturday to end their season, and holy shit, dude, it was impressive to watch.
Was it a banger?
It was a banger. It was a banger. Yeah, no, I was having I had them on my tablet while I was away at a bachelor party that I'm a part of. And I was just hyped the whole time, balancing them in the D&D one-shot we were doing. I was like trying to contain my excitement.
Nice. My shout out is going to be baseball season. It's back.
It's back, baby.
Went to opening day on Thursday. Watched the Nationals lose. They proceeded to lose again on Saturday, but then they won yesterday. And now they're losing again. So it's going to be a long year. But that's the life of a Nationals fan.
Ooh, if we're on baseball, shout out to that dude that made the torpedo.
Oh, the torpedo
Thank you
bat?
so much.
Yeah, shout out to the
Thank
torpedo
you so
bats.
much.
New York Yankees just absolutely mashing dingers all day.
I was gonna say I expect this whole week to be filled with nothing but torpedo bats. I feel like every team is just gonna get in on this.
Oh,
and the MLB
you
can
know
have
that they're all Amazon one-day shipping torpedo bats. They are re-upping that Prime sub and, getting in on some torpedo bat action.
Okay, real fast, Santa. Give me your prediction, and Curl, you can hop in on this too. But do you think the MLB will step in to ban torpedo bats, despite them
it's
following
legal.
the rules?
It's legal. They will
But
not-
do you think they'll go back and change it though?
they would have already in the off season?
Yeah, in the offseason. Do you think next offseason they're going to go back and be like, you cannot do this?
No, because the thing is,
Okay.
it's any team can do it. There's already other teams that have like picked up a couple.
Right.
Any team can do it. It's perfectly within the rules. And if MLB tries to change it, I guarantee all the teams are going to raise hell. Because, it's not like right now in football, some teams are trying to get the tush push banned, the Eagles thing that they do.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like any other team could do that. You don't need to ban this
Yeah.
play. Like, there's no need. It's like the same thing with like pine tar. You can put pine tar on your bat to, make your grip better. They just have regulations as to how much you can put on and how far up the handle it can go. So, no, I don't think they're gonna change the rules. That'd be crazy. Although they did start putting a runner on second base during extra innings now, so they have changed plenty. All right. We will be back next week to discuss the first week of LTA action and preview the next week. But for now, we'll just say, please stay safe out there and bite your teeth. Do not forget to hit the head on the nail, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.